Gossip is such a great human activity. The poetry is spoken inside the mind as you write.
So, but I'm so glad that you brought up philosophy over here. Philosophers be talking about something, be giving theories, that is always taken by people, audience. But poetry is a form of philosophy, something that people do not really believe in.
Philosophy or politics or whatever, they are like the raw material of poetry. You have to convert those into a sculpture. Similarly, you have to convert everything to poetry. You must sing upon your blue guitar of things exactly as they are. So he replies, things exactly as they are changed upon the blue guitar. So poetry is that blue guitar in which philosophy or politics or whatever ideology changes into something else. And you said that Bombay, any mother tongue are being replaced by English education. सारा लोहा उन लोगों का अपने केवल धार वो धार है ना.
Hello lovely people, I am back again for another episode of Local Talks, and yes, we are here at the Mumbai Lit Fest because we are spotting a lot of people, a lot of my favorites, and that is something that I cannot let go of. So I'm going to talk to the poet, the playwright, and the very renowned translator from Gujarat who has come directly from San Francisco to this Lit Fest and going to talk to me about Gujarati literature and Gujarati theatre as well as Marathi theatre and the current scene right now. Let's see. Welcome to Local Talk, sir. I just heard that you're getting an award, Poet Laureate Award, right? So, and you've also just come from San Francisco specially for this. How does that feel?
Well, very glad to be here always. Getting this award is an additional pleasure, but coming here is basically a pleasure.
Coming to the fest or to Mumbai?
Coming to Mumbai.
Right, because you've been working also
yes.
the theatre and right. So let's actually talk about that first. So currently, since the time when you were working for theatre and versus now, a lot of things have changed when it comes to storytelling formats, when it comes to the adaptations that are happening that we are seeing right now. Are you in touch with the young poets or the young playwrights as well in Bombay or in Gujarat where you are from?
Very much so, and I greatly enjoy what they are doing. I'm very happy that they are not repeating the past.
Okay, what does that mean?
They are creating a new. For example, Soumya Joshi, Praveen Pandya, several others, Satish. So each one is trying to understand the times which are now. And my own new plays are really new plays, not my old plays. So
right.
I wrote one on the Ashwathama of Mahabharata, but not the Guruputra, the human being who was not killed, but the elephant baby who was killed.
Right.
That is a very contemporary experience.
Right.
That the marginalized are destroyed while the mainstream is very happy.
Is it a current play that you're working on?
There's a new play which came up.
Okay, and which language is it?
Gujarati.
Gujarati only. Okay, let's talk about that also because Gujarati in Bombay, especially Marathi and Gujarati theatres have been very prominent, more than Hindi theatre. And especially Gujarati has an edge because it always tried to tap on to a lot of adaptations from a lot of modern, English poets as well as English playwrights as well, right? So now versus now, if you see, and we talk about the theatre scene changing right now in Gujarati theatre. There are a lot of Hindi theatre happening right now, actually. So how do you see that? Do you get time to see the current theatres or see?
So several decades back, we had Indian National Theatre, INT.
Yeah.
The major theatre. Not only in Gujarati, but they produce Marathi plays also. And Arvind Joshi, Sarita Joshi, who is even now a very well-known name in cinema, Sarita Joshi. So she was a great actress of the 20th century, second half Gujarati theatre. Now, Gujarati theatre, I think main focus has shifted from Bombay to Ahmedabad or Baroda or Bhavnagar and other places.
What do you think should be the reason for that? Is it about the inclination for Hindi theatre and English more so?
Yeah, as you rightly said, what is happening in Bombay is that the mother tongues, any mother tongue, are being replaced by English education. So, Marathi theatre is also not as it was some years back.
True.
But newer things are coming up, and one should feel happy and not kind of lament the loss. The
Absolutely,
moment, I never lament the loss. Something new has come, so try to understand it.
Yeah. But when we talk about resources, because Gujarati theatre also used to, when we talk about 60s and 70s, also used to provide very good resources. People used to travel also, and it was very mobile as well. People would go in the groups to villages and to do that. And that is something we see, is not there right now. It's missing from the scene.
But new things have come up. I don't live in the past. I do not belong now to the 20th century. 25 years have passed
Already
in the 21st century. I live now. I'm a writer of the 21st century now. I was a writer of the second half of the 20th century also. But no lamentation, no kind of sense of loss, only curiosity. Very curious what is happening. And good things are happening. Why not?
When you think of good things, as you said, then what comes to your mind? What is this good thing that you would like to highlight in the theatre scene right now? Because there is still financial crunch in the theatre scene.
When you think of Gujarati theatre companies travel. So it's not Bombay Gujarati theatre and Gujarat theatre. It's Gujarati theatre, wherever it is. And so, as I said, Praveen Pandya writes great literature, great plays of social commitment and inquiry. Soumya Joshi writes great, psychological and adventurous thing, and several other and new theatre actors. Paresh is even now active. Paresh Rawal.
Yeah.
So he might have shifted to cinema, but he's still there. Sarita Joshi still acts in cinema.
Yeah.
So I think basically what you have, if you think that, I sort of have a sense of loss, I don't have it.
Yeah. But are you also in touch with young poets right now in Gujarati?
Any number. Well, I don't know why you asked that question.
Yeah, because it's always, so what happens is for new people who are going to be introduced maybe by their family, by their institutions to theatre, they look forward to these personalities. And you're one of the personalities when it comes to the playwright section, comes to poem section in terms of Gujarati, right? So, and coming from you means a lot for them.
Okay.
So that is where we want to understand.
So very, very happy. I now know the line of your thinking or questions. So yeah, there are a large number of new Gujarati, young Gujarati poets, short story writers, essay writers, travelogue writers. They are doing something new, but that is the issue, that they are doing something new. Had they been doing things as we did in the if I myself was doing something that I was doing some 20 years back, I would sort of ask myself, why have I stopped? But Gujarati literature hasn't stopped, Marathi literature hasn't stopped, and Hindi also. Arun Kamal is a very dear friend of mine.
Okay.
And सारा लोहा उन लोगों का अपनी केवल धार. वो धार है ना हिंदी में भी, वो नई धार होए. गुजरात में भी ऐसा है.
Yeah, right. So when it comes to poetry, now let's shift our focus to poetry also. When it comes to poetry, reciting and writing becomes very different. Sometimes, for some poets, I would like to say. I was just before this, I was talking to somebody, Anish, basically, and we were talking about how when you hear some poets reciting, it's very different. Maybe it's to appeal to the masses, and when they write, it becomes very vocabulary heavy, very complex. How do you see that, and what's your stance on that?
when you actually write a poem, you speak that poem in your mind.
Yeah.
Otherwise, how can you write? The poetry is spoken inside the mind as you write. That script, French philosophers have discussed this at great length. Jacques Derrida, for example.
Yeah.
So could writing has two aspects. One, like inscripting, preserving something.
Right.
But poetry is not preservation of anything. Poetry is exploration. And when you even speak, when you are exploring something, your speech takes on a different rhythm. So this dichotomy is that some writers have of very fancy kind of recitation and very kind of smart kind of immediate, quick response theory. That is not poetry.
Yeah.
It's like a jingle of advertisements.
Yeah.
They lead to a certain result. Some product is sold. So these jingles are not poetry. But poetry is essentially spoken language. Poetry is not written language. Poetry is essentially spoken language.
Yeah, that's so beautifully
Yeah.
said. Yeah, because I sometimes, I'm personally, when I read a few poets, I definitely have to look up to the dictionary when it comes to Arabic words and Persian words. But when I hear them on their YouTube videos, they are somehow not no longer alive. So then it's so easy to understand them, and that is what I think about. But I'm so glad that you brought up philosophy over here, because it's also something which we see in your work. When we see philosophy in poetry, that is something which is not taken as well as it is taken as philosophy itself. Philosophers be talking about something, be giving theories, that is always taken by people, audience. But poetry as a form of philosophy is something that people do not really believe in. Why do you think? What is the reason for that? I personally believe poetry works for me as philosophy. What is your stance on that?
Take example of sculpture.
Yeah.
Now someone might buy beautiful marble pieces
Yeah.
and simply exhibit it. These are marble pieces. This is a marketplace or art gallery. So the sculptor sculpts, makes an icon out of it or a sculpture out of it. What happens to the stone? The stone is still there,
Yeah.
but it's gone also. No one said, "Oh, what nice stone is still."
Yeah.
They said, "What nice sculpture, what nice, shilpa." Similarly, philosophy or politics or whatever, they are like the raw material of poetry. But if someone presents the raw material, they said, "What is it? What are these stones doing here?" You have to convert those into a sculpture. Similarly, you have to convert everything to poetry. Philosophy becomes different. Philosophy written by philosophers has a particular way of expression. Philosophy or politics transform into poetry. There, Wallace Stevens. Have you heard of Wallace Stevens?
I think I've read. Yeah.
He has a line, "Man with blue guitar." That is the title. You remember it?
Yeah. There's also the space, and that is the best thing about it. That you think that what is being said right now is on your face, but there's so many layers involved with it.
Absolutely.
And how to navigate that.
Absolutely.
So
he says, they tell him, you must sing upon your blue guitar of things exactly as they are. Realism and philosophy and so on. So he replies, things exactly as they are changed upon the blue guitar. So poetry is that blue guitar in which philosophy or politics or whatever ideology changes into something else. And you said that.
Right. Okay, I'll come to theater again once more, because that's one thing which I always discuss with people who are in theater economy. We know this one constant challenge that we face, which is also my one constant question to all people involved with theater. We know that theaters deal with financial crunch a lot. The kind of money they have, who do they reach out to, the productions, it's entirely that proper industry which if gives you anything but livelihood. So people also have to depend on other sources of income for that. How do you see that? Is there a scope that we can do better in that front?
I've spent several years in Paris,
Yeah.
and UNESCO was, when I was there, his new plays were coming up. And these plays were staged in the basements of some restaurants. And once his famous Chairs was presented,
Okay.
and a Gujarati writer also was there with me to watch it. And he said that there were more empty chairs in the auditorium than they were on the stage.
Oh.
If you know the play, The Chairs by Eugene Ionesco.
Okay,
yeah.
okay,
So there are
okay.
empty chairs on the stage.
In the
So,
audience.
In the,
On the
play
stage, on the
itself,
stage,
in
okay.
One after the other, empty
Okay,
chairs
yeah,
come up.
yeah,
so,
yeah.
so even UNESCO has empty chairs in his auditorium. So one must, so Praveen Joshi, our great theatre man, he used to say that every year he produced 4 plays, and 3 plays he would produce to keep the things rolling. The 4th play he would produce for himself. So I think like that. Yeah, but your question is quite correct. Theatre involves funds, money, and but once I told several years back that the ticket bari, as they say in Gujarati or Hindi also, the ticket bari has to be outside the theatre.
Yeah.
Now ticket bari has come, ticket office has come on the stage main.
Yeah.
So these are practical constraints.
Yeah.
And I think creative people somehow find, and creative societies somehow find ways
Right.
of supporting that. I
Right.
think Indian society is a very creative society
Yeah.
and helps artists do more adventure, because unless the artist is adventurous, society gets stifled.
Yeah. And when we think of all those art pieces, art forms that you talked about a lot of things, although, but so in terms of criticism, the literary criticism that we see right now has evolved a lot because of the advent of social media, new media. We have short formats. So much, right? People be coming in front of camera, be speaking about it. Everyone has an opinion about it. Long back, maybe when you were in 60s and 70s, you were working, it was not that. It was confined to print medium so much, and then there would be critiques for that. That has changed, right? How do you see that? Do you think it's for better?
As Marshall McLuhan famously said, medium is the message. So medium has its own this thing. Now, a non-creative, commercial kind of writer succumbs to the medium. So,
Yeah.
And the creative man controls the medium.
Yeah.
So, even, for example, printing press came in India in the early 19th century, first half of 19th
yeah.
century.
Yeah.
Till then, it was an oral tradition of great poetry in our language, not folk literature, real,
Yeah.
absolutely great.
Mainstream. Yeah.
So then they changed to printing, but it didn't mean that, whatever the printing press wanted, they wrote. They wrote the same thing, modified it, and so on. So this whole idea of modification, change, progress is, I think, right from the beginning of our discussion today, we have been emphasizing on that. That
Yeah.
the continuous journey, and similarly the new media have come, very interesting, fascinating. So why not master them? Why not do exactly what you want to do?
But shouldn't there be criteria for somebody to also become critique in that sense? Somebody to have an opinion? Or what do you think about it? Because if everyone has, right now, everyone has an access to a lot of devices, to technology, right? It takes just your camera, just your mobile phone to become a critique for movies, for plays, for poems, right? So shouldn't there be criteria? Just like how you mentioned, shouldn't there be criteria for politicians in the country to work? So how to see that?
Gossip is such a great human activity. Mankind is never going to give up gossiping. It gives them great, immense joy to gossip. And when you hear the gossip, you also know that you are listening to gossip or you are
Yeah.
participating in gossip. I think this as a computer-based thing like mobile and so on, one enjoys this and one takes it as gossip. One doesn't take
Yeah,
it
yeah.
very seriously.
Rant we called.
Yeah. So I
That
think
we're ranting.
let's trust the playfulness of mankind
Hmm.
and also understand that behind that playfulness or along with that playfulness
Yeah.
is also a purposive, a decisive a desire uh, to conquer the tools,
Yeah.
the equipments of expression, of living and so on. So I think that's two great things about mankind. One, it loves to gossip. And number two, it ultimately wants to do exactly what it wants to do with
Yeah.
whatever. If you have a ball pen, you want to write at a particular way, you write. If you have a fountain pen, if it's the old kind of, katta, then but this is my writing. Like
And it
that.
also sells. That is what sells. Gossip, ranting. That is what sells.
Yeah, my
in
writing. मैंने क्या है? So very wonderful chatting with you, but I think I must go because
Yeah. Just one last thing because it'll be so much of injustice for our audience without you reciting any of your favorite poems in Gujarati. Let's say Payalo ki agar kuch line because I couldn't understand because of the language barrier. But if you can just recite a few lines,
actually I don't have a poem with me right now.
anything that you can think of from your work.
એક દિવાલની બે બાજુ ઊભેલો હું મને કદીએ મળી શકતો નથી. इसका हिंदी ऐसा होगा कि एक दीवार की दो और खड़ा मैं मुझे कभी भी मिल नहीं सकता. So there are always, great walls of China inside us.
Yeah.
And we stand on both sides of the wall and we are not able to meet. But Berlin Wall was also broken.
Yeah.
And I think
What a beautiful end to this conversation.
Yeah, so
Kya
I think
samapti
let's-
hai.
let's-
Thank you so much for joining and for talking to us.
thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoyed chatting with you.
Thank you. My pleasure. My pleasure.